Jai Gurudev. Jai Masters. Very few people understand the term surrender. They think of it as a passive thing, that when you give up, I surrender. It's not that your choice is decide what you want, decide how you think you're going to get it, and then go out there and force and fight and manipulate and charge and never give up and bother everybody till you get what you want. Versus, I don't care, I don't want to do anything, it's too much trouble. Neither of those are surrender. And neither of those are spiritual. Spirituality is the Tao. It is right in between those two things. That's what Lao Tzu said. It's neither positive nor negative, neither good nor bad, neither right nor wrong. In the middle. It's always in the middle. It's always in the balanced center. So what stands in between those two ways of life? Because people always choose between those two. They really try to get it the way they want and fight with everything till they beat their head against the wall so hard that they just get old and give up, or get young and give up. Surrender says the following. It starts with what the Buddhists call right understanding. There is a world in which you live. It was here before you got here. It will be here after you leave. More important, it is going on everywhere where you're not, isn't it? Like, how many other things are going on right now other than what you're experiencing? Outside, in Gainesville, every single household, every single place on the planet Earth, and every single place on every single planet there is. They're all moments like this, aren't they? They're things that are going on in creation, things that are going on in the universe, things that are going on in the world. You're experiencing one of them at any given moment. You're not experiencing all the rest. Well, why is that important? That's very important, because it's the truth. So, not only was it here before you got here, what? Life, creation, the world, reality, and it will be here after you leave, you know that, but it is going on everywhere that you're not, all by itself, isn't it? Right? Just the whole of creation, the stars, the galaxies, everybody's household, every single thing. There's 7 billion people on the planet Earth. They're all having an experience like you're having an experience. Except you're not having those experiences, are you? There's hundreds of trillions and zillions of animals on the planet. Even fish in the seas. They're all having an experience too, aren't they? They're seeing different things, experiencing different things. All of this is going on without you doing it. And certainly you weren't doing it before you got here. Just the 3 things I handed you. 1, were you creating everything before you got here? I don't mean here, I mean on the planet. No. Will you be creating everything after you die and leave, 100 years later? No. Are you creating everything that's going on right now everywhere? No. That tells you something. What does it tell you? You're not the doer. Things are going on by themselves. They have nothing to do with you, do they? How many things? Everything. Everywhere. It's just going on without you. That's the first level of understanding surrender. What? Understand reality. Understand what's going on. But I didn't see surrender. No, you'll see it a little bit later. Just start with understanding that there is something going on that is so much bigger than you, it is incomprehensible. You want to call it God? Call it God. I couldn't care less. I want to call it science? Call it science. I want to call it reality? Call it reality. I want to call it life? Call it life. They're just words. They're all talking about the same thing. The fact that there's something going on everywhere and you're not doing it. So you start to come into harmony with that. You come into an honesty with that, which basically says, I'm experiencing one moment, that's all I ever experience at a time, and there are 700 billion, trillion, zillion other moments going on at the same time, not to mention it's been going on for 13.8 billion years, and how old are you? And so you just wake up and you say, well, wait a minute, I'm so busy making a big deal out of the tiny little moment I'm experiencing. Well, do I like it? Do I not like it? Is it what I want? Is it what I didn't want? Why did it have to happen that way? I didn't want it to happen. About the little tiny moment. And you're not making anything out of the hundreds of zillions and billions that are going on exactly the same as the moment you're experiencing. Can you see that? I don't want to go on until I see you see that. because you're making such a big deal out of this minuscule thing that you experience as you move through time and space, you literally have no brain power left to stay aware that the whole thing is creating itself. You're not doing it. All right? The stars stay in place. Every cell in your body, you got trillions of them. Do you know that? That's a big number. There are trillions of cells in your body. What are you doing about it? Nothing. There's all kinds of stuff going on in there, isn't there? And if it wasn't going on, you wouldn't be around here very long, would you? And you're willing to let trillions of these minute little microscopic things that your whole life depends on to every single moment of every day and night just go about their business and just accept that they'll do it right? Wow, you're a very trusting person. In other words, you're rather surrendered to the reality of the fact that they're going to take care of themselves and you don't have to do anything. That's what surrender is. The truth is you're already very surrendered. You're completely surrendered to letting the entire universe go on by itself. You don't even think about it. But watch out. Somewhere in China, there's a baby being born. No, I'm not going to do that. How about you? I ain't doing that. There's too much going on. There's galaxies interacting with each other. Oh my God, there's quasars exploding and all kinds of stuff. You just catch on that the truth of the matter is you are very surrendered. You are very accepting. When I teach acceptance, people say, well, I can't even begin to think about what it would be to live a life of acceptance. Yes, you could. You do it about everything except for what's in front of you. Why? I dare you. Don't have to do it right now. I want you to continue listening to me. But go home, sit yourself down for a little sit down with yourself and come to Jesus, come to reality here, right? Just sit there and admit to yourself that for some reason you are totally willing to let every single thing go on in the whole universe except for what's in front of you. That's weird, isn't it? Because what's in front of you is just part of everything else to somebody else, isn't it? If you want to understand surrender, you have to understand that. Because all of spirituality is about, all of it, all the higher states, all the beauty, every single thing that you would turn to spirituality for is that tiny little exception you make of that one moment that you're not willing to let it be the way it is, but everything else can be the way it is. Add that moment to the mix, and it's over. The moment you are no longer saying that what is going on in front of me is any different than what isn't going on in front of me. It isn't, is it? The only difference is it's what's going on in front of me. Well, that's not a meaningful difference. You don't get to do that, all right? It is part and whole of the whole system, isn't it? You're scientists, at least enough, you have to be, Einstein or something, to understand that the moment that's in front of you is not independent of every other moment around it. It's all tied together. Look to the left, look to the right, you'll see different moments, but they're all a whole. It's a system. It's a system in equilibrium, isn't it? The entire universe. The moon moves, the tides come up. Right? The whole thing's tied together, isn't it? Every single thing. It rained. You wanted to go camping. Now you don't get to go camping, so you're depressed. So the rain made you depressed, but the rain was due to El Nino, so El Nino made you depressed. I mean, it is all tied together. Every single moment, isn't it? All right. You only have to be that smart. You have to be a genius. You have to understand how it's tied together. That takes science. Go to school forever. I don't know. Get a PhD and everything. All right? You only have to know that it is tied together, isn't it? There's not a single thing that's independent of everything else. And it's not only tied together in space, meaning the other things that are going on right now, El Niños and so on, are causing what you're experiencing, but it's tied together in time. Everything that ever happened caused El Nino, global warming. I don't know what you want to blame it on, right? But all of time and the events that happen cause things to be the way they are. So this whole system is life, is creation, is reality. And what is in front of you, I swear to you, is absolutely no different than what's not in front of you. That's an amazing statement. I shouldn't have to say it. What is in front of you is absolutely no different than what's not in front of you. It's a moment in Einstein's time-space continuum, okay? And there are lots of them, lots of moments. There it is. There's the moment. There's only one thing that's different. It's what you're looking at, all right? That doesn't make it different. It only means it's what you're looking at. Like I said, if you think the moment in front of you is so special, just turn your head to the left. It's no longer in front of you. Before, you didn't think about what was to the left or what was to the right. Now, all of a sudden, what's to the left is most important. What's to the right is most. Oh, what is she doing? Is she listening? You just wake up. There is no difference at all in the moment that is in front of you and the moment that is not. The moments, billions and trillions of them, that are not in front of you. So you get to the point where you realize life is very, very different than what you've done with it. What you have done, and we all have, is to say, because I'm experiencing it, it's all that matters. What's going on in front of me is what matters. Why? Because I'm experiencing it. If you took the other attitude, which was, I'm honored to experience something, so even though the moment in front of me is no different than the moments that are not in front of me, it's the one I get to experience. I only get to experience one at a time, don't I? At any given moment, you're only experiencing what's in front of you. You all got that? I like it when people say to me, but I'm afraid of missing something. You're missing everything, right? You're missing every single thing that's going on other than what is in front of you. So give up that thing about missing stuff, because believe me, you're missing everything. So you get down to the point where you understand, I have a problem. Here's my problem. Life doesn't have a problem. It just goes about its business. It's been doing it for 13.8 billion years. And it's doing it everywhere, isn't it? Okay? And the moment in front of you is no different than what's on Mars, what's in China, what's everywhere. They're just moments that are the result of all that ever was being created at a moment. But you're experiencing this moment. You start to question, why are you making such a mess of this moment when it's no different than the rest? That is spiritual growth. That is spirituality. When you are able to stand in the presence and be honored to be in the presence of the moment that is unfolding in front of you and see it with the exact eye of wisdom that we just talked about. The universe has been here for 13.8 billion years. It's expressing itself everywhere, under the ocean, everywhere. But I don't get to experience that. But I do get to experience this piece that's in front of me. Isn't that special? So when you do that, you've surrendered. That is what surrender means. I told you I'm going to go into surrender. Surrender doesn't mean not doing anything. I haven't talked to you what you're going to do about it. I've just said your starting position is what's called acceptance, respect, honor. You're honoring the reality that is unfolding everywhere, and you are honored to see the piece of it that you now experience. And I'm telling you, I know you've got to take great exception with me, no matter what is unfolding in front of you, it's all the same. It's what's happening. It's a happening place. That's what's unfolding in front of you. Someone's born, someone dies. Someone told you something great, someone told you a terrible thing. They're all part of reality, aren't they? King Solomon was considered the wise king, wasn't he? To everything there is a season, for every purpose under heaven. You understand that? Every single thing that goes on is just something that's going on. And you just happen to be in its presence. So if I stand here and a deer runs by, I got to see a deer. If I stand here and a fox runs by, I got to see a fox. If I stand there and a person runs by, got to see a person. Right? It's just the same. It's just what is passing before my consciousness. It's not good or bad or right or wrong or better or worse. It is my right to experience part of creation, albeit a very small part. So for example, I'll give you an example, because it's hard for the mind, because boy, we're serious about what we want to be passing in front of us, aren't we? We're not about to start honoring and respecting them. Well, at least I got to see this. So the example I use that helps you digest it is, some people have never seen an ocean. They've never seen an ocean. So I'm going to take them out to the Pacific Ocean, Fisherman's Wharf, and look out over the expanse of the Pacific Ocean. And they're going to see things. I don't know what they're going to see. Maybe there's a whale. Maybe there's a sea lion. And then maybe they'll see waves, little wavelets. Maybe they'll see big waves. Maybe they'll see some spray and some white foam. You look out at the ocean, you see different things. All right? You're experiencing what it's like to see the ocean. You're not really seeing the ocean. The ocean is really big, isn't it? It's really big. It stretches all the way across. You're just seeing a piece of it. But by seeing a piece of it, it's a representative of the rest, isn't it? So if the ocean is quiet and still, you're getting to see that. If it's tumultuous, you're getting to see that. Is one better than the other? No. You're getting to experience it. You come one time, it's tumultuous. You come another time, it's quiet. You come another time, there's whales. Another times, there's not. Whatever it is, you're getting to experience a representation of ocean. Life is exactly the same. There are all kinds of things that go on in life, and some of them pass before you. That's just like the ocean is in different states at different times. You are getting to experience a representation of one thing that could exist in life. Now, let's look at the ocean from a point of view what I call surrender, and from a point of view of not surrender. Because we talked about 3 states. We started by saying you could come in here to the world and say, I know I just got here. You kind of dropped in, all right? The world's been going on for 13 billion years before you showed up. I know I just got here. You get over here. You don't talk to him. You don't go there. Oh, wow. We got a little bossy person just dropped down into the world that was going on by itself for all this time and is going on everywhere they're not, but it ain't going on however it wants in front of me. It's going on the way I want in front of me, all right? And you go to war. That's that. You literally go to war with reality because it is going to be the way I want. I have decided that, all right? What is your life going to be like? Well, let's go back out to the ocean. First time you saw the ocean, except before you go see the ocean, I want you to read a bunch of books and go on the web and surf the web before you surf the ocean and see what the ocean is like. And I want you to read somebody who says, sometimes there's entire they call pods of whales, right? Tons of them, and they spout out their top, right? And oh, it's so beautiful and exciting, right? And sometimes there's even boats out there, and they come up right next to the boats, and the people can touch them. And, ooh, I want to see that. That's now ocean to me. Well, what's going to happen if you want to see that and you go see the Pacific Ocean for the first time? Probably you seeing that slim to nil. You're not going to like it, are you? You can get disappointed. You can go back and tell your friends in Minnesota, wherever you live in the middle of the United States where there's no oceans, that basically, oh man, it was a real down. It's not anything like they said it was going to be. It was really depressing. I didn't like it at all. I'm not going back. This ocean thing is way oversold. And that's what you're going to do, isn't it? Because you developed within your mind a preconceived notion of what you wanted to go on in front of you. And because you did that, what was going on in front of you wasn't beautiful anymore. What was going on in front of you wasn't special. In fact, it was wrong. It was painful. It was disturbing, wasn't it? Now, you take somebody else who didn't do that. Well, take I told you this person fights, tries to get what they want, and the other extreme, the yin and the yang, the other extreme is somebody gave up. I used to try to get what I want, now I don't want to do it. I just I'm here, and I don't even want to go to the ocean. Why would I bother going? It's just wet. We'll take that nice person to the ocean, all right? Oh my God, it smells, right? Salty. I don't like salt. I'm allergic to salt. And, this person's not going to have a good time, no matter what it is. And the person who wants it to be a certain way can only have a good time in a chance of 0.0001 if it was exactly the way they want. So the down person who gave up can't ever have a good time. The person who decided, I'll have a good time if it's the way I want, the probability of having a good time is very, very, very small. Because the world has billions of ways it could unfold, and they only have one way that will make them okay. Does everybody understand that? Good. You just understood one of the most important things you'll ever understand in your life. Then there's this Taoist way. Ooh, I like the word. The Taoist way is the one we've been talking about. The way of surrender, the way of acceptance. The way of sitting there saying, I wonder what the ocean's going to be like. Wow, I can't wait to see. In other words, I have no preconceived notion in my mind of what is supposed to be going on. I'm an explorer. I'm just excited to see what it's going to be. It's just it's a journey of excitement, a journey of exploration. And so now I get taken to the ocean like a little kid. The Bible says, lest ye be as little children. That's what it's talking about, right? You go in there what we call a beginner's mind. That's what the yogis call it, a beginner's mind. You have nothing in your mind. You just have this openness of the excitement of experiencing something you haven't experienced before. That's enough. I don't have to have preconceived notions, do I? And so I go there, and there's no whales. That's neat. All right, the ocean's or there is a whale, or there's this, or there's that. There's high tides, and there's low tides. There's all kinds of wow. Wow, look, mira, mama, mira. It's just very exciting, and you're just all excited. That's the middle way. You're neither for nor against. You neither want nor not want. That doesn't mean it's dull. That doesn't mean you gave up. I want you to clearly understand the difference between the yin, the yang, the two extremes. I have a way I want it to be. I'm going to fight until it's that way, and blah, blah. And I gave up. I don't care. I don't want to do it anyways. All right? No, those are not your choices. There's this middle way. That's what the Tao is called. The Taoist tradition is called the middle way. All right? The balanced way, which is I have not made up how I expect it to be, how I want it to be. I am just excited to get to experience it. I can't wait to see what it's going to be. All right? I mean, you could do it with the ocean. I can do it with Christmas morning to a child. Here's a child, very bright, and what they did is they surfed their little web on their little smartphone, and they decided every single present they want to get. See, they counted how many presents were under the tree. They snuck out at night. Then at night, all right, they went back there and looked at how many, there were 12. Oh my God, I'll get this, I'll get this, I'll get this. But the color, the size, the shape, the make, the brand, every single thing, they just webbed out there and made up what they wanted to get. I do not want to be that child's parent when I killed myself to go buy things that I thought they would enjoy or be good for them, and they open these presents. Because they're going to be the most depressed, anxious. They'll have trouble with Christmas the rest of their life. You're terrible parents. You didn't even get what I want. Okay, so there's one child. That's a terrible Christmas. Then there's a child that's depressed. I never get what I want. I never got what I want. I don't even want to go open the presents. I couldn't even care less. I don't want what they're going to give me. I don't really care about them. They just buy stuff for themselves. They think I want clothes. I don't want clothes. Both of those are exactly the same as the person going out there and looking at the ocean. What is the commonality here? You have developed a preconceived notion in your mind about how it has to be for you to be okay. That's the common thing, isn't it? Or you have developed a concept in your mind of how it needs to be, and you gave up on that. You figure it'll never be that way anyways. No one ever likes me. I don't care. I don't want to see people anymore because it's been so painful. There you go. Those are the two extremes. Then there's this middle way. It's so beautiful. You wake up in the morning, and you're excited. About what? It's Christmas. And there are presents under the tree. And I get to see what I got. I don't care what it is. Just the fun of opening the presents. That's the joy of the family being together. Just the excitement of finding out what somebody gave me and this, that, and the other thing. You understand? You're in it for the joy. You're not in it that it matches what your mind made up. That, by the way, is called the path of acceptance, the path of surrender. I told you, very few people understand surrender. That's surrender. You don't surrender outside. You don't surrender to somebody. You surrender your making up a world inside your head and then expecting the world outside to match it. That's what surrender means. You surrender yourself. Christ said you must die to be reborn. That's what he's talking about. You have to be willing to let go of this you made up inside your head that thinks everything should be the way you want. Why? Because it won't be, will it? How many people found out yet that it won't be the way you want? Of course it won't be the way you want. Well, why won't they be the way I want? You went to school. I can look at you. A lot of you guys are in college. You went to school, all right? And in school you study, what's this stuff called? Oh, yeah, science. That tells you why things are the way they are. You study meteorology, you find out why the weather does what it does. You study physics, you find out why you can only jump so high and why different things happen the way they do. You study psychology, you understand why people are the way they are. You study sciences that teach you why things are the way they are. And not a single one of those sciences, not one single one, when you open the book, said they are the way they are because of you. Because you wanted it to be that way. You decided it would be that way. None of them say that. So when you sit there and say that what the world should be doing is being the way I want, you're wrong. The world, in a sense, should be what it is, because it's the result of everything that ever was, isn't it? It's the result of all the causes. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's moral, doesn't mean it's good, doesn't mean we can't do something to raise it, but it does mean that every single moment that's unfolding in front of you is there because it needs to be, because of all the forces that cause it to be that way, going all the way back to the Big Bang. It's just all the hydrogen gases got pulled together by gravity, blah, 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 blah. Any way you want to look at it. It is what it is because of all the forces that cause it to be that way. Every single thing is because of all the influences that made it be that way. How about if I say it that way? That's called science. That's what science is about, studying the influences. Science doesn't say, well, there are no causes, so let's just sit around and talk about it. It believes that there are reasons that things are the way they are, and it studies them, doesn't it? And not one of those reasons is because you wanted it to be or didn't want it to be. I didn't want it to rain today. You do get upset when it rains when you don't want, don't you? Well, that's really smart. And then you wonder why you're upset all the time. That's why you're upset all the time. You're not upset all the time because of the way things are. You're not. You're upset all the time because you made up how you want them to be, and you're mad they're not that way. Well, if you do that, you're going to get upset a lot, aren't you? Right? You're going to get disappointed a lot. You're going to have a lot of anxiety. You're going to have a lot of worries. You know what people worry about? I know what people, I don't even know you, and I know what you worry about. Everybody worries about the same thing. I won't get what I want, or I'll get what I don't want. Did I get it? What else is there to worry about? You're going to worry that you'll get what you want? Worry that you don't have to experience what you don't want? No. You only worry about, I made up how I want it to be. What if it doesn't happen? Well, you better worry day and night. And you worry, I decided what I don't want to happen more than anything. I don't want it to happen. And you'll worry that it'll happen. So you just catch on that every single time it's saying the same thing. The clue is coming out. It's falling out in front of you, which is what? I'm doing this. You're doing what? I'm making it a mess. It's not a mess. It's awesome. What is life? Creation. It's unbelievable. Look how many things there are. Look how many animals there are. Look how many fish there are. Look how many people there are. Where'd they come from? Creation. I didn't make them. And they're going on everywhere. So creation, I think it's an A++. It started off with this big bang, and there were these hydrogen gases everywhere. You understand that? We've traced it back to that. And then no one touched it, and they made everything. What did? The hydrogen gases. Or if you study quantum physics, the 4 fundamental forces. The electromagnetic force, gravity, strong nuclear, and weak nuclear. There, just 4 forces. That wasn't so complicated. Literally, scientists believe today, the smartest ones, Hawkins, everybody out there, 4 forces. I just named them. Created everything. Wow. You can understand that. You can study that. That's pretty neat. Just understand those forces. And they're literally telling you that there was this big bang and there was nothing but these hydrogen thick gases, and the interaction of those 4 forces pulled it all together and made you. Made everything. Made the mountains and the planets and the stars and every mosquito and every single thing there is. How's that? There was nothing. Now there's all this. How did it do without you? Wow. Wow. When I walk by the flowers, I always we have these beautiful wildflowers, phlox and black-eyed Susans and all kinds of stuff, don't we, on the sides of the roads. Where'd they come from? Did you do them? Wow. They came from that. They started off as those hydrogen gases, and they all got pushed and smushed together and ended up beautiful wildflowers on the side of the road. Wow. It's unbelievable, isn't it? And those of you, like I like to touch this because some of you understand that the scientists now say there's this quantum field of energy down there, and that energy sometimes acts as a particle and sometimes as a wave. We know that, right? The wave-particle duality. And when it acts as a wave, it's just down there as energy. And when it happens to pop up as a particle, quarks, leptons, bosons, that they get put together on the fundamental forces and they make the wildflowers. Right now. They are a gift from the quantum field. I said that to a quantum physicist the other day. He looked at me and said, "You're absolutely right. Of course it is." Right? I mean, right? It's not that they made it and went away. Every single moment, these particles are popping out of that field, remaking it. An electron is not a thing that popped out and stays there. Okay? It is the quantum field emanating these forces, and they keep putting themselves together. It's just, please study it, because it'll blow you away. To realize when you drive by there and see those flowers, that something made those for you. You want to call it God? I like to call it God. It's fine. Why wouldn't I call it that? If you ask a scientist, where is the quantum field? What's he going to say? Omnipresent. It's not like down there. It's everywhere. It's like every single place and all. How about in the farthest parts of the galaxies, far, far away? Yeah, that's right. It made those. It is those. Right? So it's omnipresent. It's omnipotent. It is the force that creates every single thing there is. So it gets interesting. You dare to look at it. All right? So you eventually get to the point where you understand that all that matters is I am not the creator of what's in front of me. I am the experiencer of what's in front of me, not the creator. So you start with acceptance. You start approaching life with a sense of respect, with a sense of honor. I am honored to experience what is unfolding in front of me. It has nothing to do with what I like and what I don't like. It has to do with my willingness to take in the moment that has been gifted to. It is gifted to you. You understand that? The fact that you have a body is a gift, isn't it? The fact that you have a mind that will think. How'd you do that? How much you pay for it? It's just a gift. You've been given all these gifts. So instead of using it to go in there and do this absurd thing, which is, I'll tell you what I'm going to do with my life. I'm going to go into a corner for a minute and make up what's going to happen for the rest of my life. I've now decided what's going to unfold in front of me every single moment of the rest of my life. When I'm getting married, what the kid's going to look like, how the husband's going to look like, what kind of car he's going to drive. But when I'm 12, I start that, okay? Just make it up in your mind. And then I'm going to get upset for my entire life that it's not happening that way. So it may sound funny to you, but it's really not. There's something drastically wrong with sitting in a corner and using your mind to make up what's going to be in front of you, because it won't be. No one will talk to you this way. They should have started at kindergarten, all right? See, in kindergarten, they teach you this thing called imagination, make-believe. You just got carried away and decided that what you imagined to make up should really happen. They forgot to tell you, make-believe is just kind of to exercise the powers of creativity of your mind. You don't get to make it up and you really get mad that it's not happening. I made up Puff the Magic Dragon. Now I'm depressed for the rest of my life because I can't find him. I'm looking all over for him. So you made up a husband, you made up a wife, you made up a car, you made up a job, you made up you made up all kinds of stuff, didn't you? Right? You made up whether it's going to rain tomorrow. You made up how people are going to treat you. You made up whether people like you. You make up every single thing. You went to the hairdresser and said, just do something interesting. But in the back of your mind, you made up what that's going to look like, all right? And when that thing comes off, it's like, ah! Or, oh my God, that's brilliant. Based on what? Based on what you made up. Surrender means the willingness to not do that. That's all it means. It doesn't mean you don't interact with life. It doesn't mean you don't get married. It doesn't mean you don't have, we'll talk about how you live a life of surrender. It doesn't mean things don't happen. Things happen. It's a happening place. Every single second, everywhere is there something happening, isn't there? So it doesn't mean things stop happening. It means you don't walk into the moment with a preconceived notion that you're completely married to and addicted to say, I am only going to be okay if what I made up happens right now. Because guess what? You won't be okay. And that's why we're not okay. We're not okay because what's happening is awesome. What's happening is unbelievable, isn't it? I tell everybody, you make the gross mistake of comparing what's happening against what you want to happen. That's crazy. You just made up what you want, didn't you? You change your mind all the time, don't you? You should compare what is happening in front of you against nothing. What do you mean nothing? In the whole universe, it's just black, empty space everywhere, isn't it? All right? If you go out there, like 99.99% of the universe, even more nines, I just don't want to say them, is empty. There's nothing. It's just black, empty space. Every once in a while, there's a planet or a star. I mean, they're really, really far apart. How close is our nearest star? I think it's about 4.2 light years away. You can check me out. I think it's 4.2 light years away. All right? Now, how far? A light year is at 186,000 miles per second. It took 4.2 years to get there. I once to give you an idea how fast 186,000 miles per second is. If I caught a light beam and held it here above the Earth and let it go for 1 second, it just went around the Earth 8 times. Now do that for 4.2 years. That's your nearest star. Well, what's in between? Nothing. Wow, it's just empty black space, you know? It's nothing. So you should compare what's in front of you against nothing. Because that's the alternative, not compare what's in front of you against what you want. What you want, you just made up. If you compare it against what you made up, you will be disappointed your entire life. And you'll be anxious, you'll be worried that it won't be the way you want. And there'll be this tension and so on. That's what your tension. Ever feel tension? Shoulders lock up, everything gets tight. That is because you have a way you want it to be or don't want it to be, and the world's not behaving. Who carries that anxiety in there? At any moment, somebody might say something, do something, you might hear something, or anything could happen that freak you out, right? Why would the world freak you out? It's just, how come the stars, the galaxies, they're exploding into each other, right? They're clashing into each other. Why is that freaking you out? That's big. There's billions of stars. They're bound to hit each other, all right? Do you want to know what? It's so empty that when galaxies collide, the stars don't hit each other. They just go right through each other. Wow, man, it's pretty empty, all right? So just wake up and realize If you are deciding in your mind how the moment in front of you is going to be, and the moment in front of you has absolutely nothing to do with you, nothing. It has to do with itself. It has to do with the forces that cause it to be. You are going to be one uptight, anxious, scared, neurotic. Your mind's going to drive you crazy because you honestly believe it's supposed to be the way you want. This is a wake-up call. It is not supposed to be the way you want. Oh. No wonder it's been this way my whole life. That's right. You're living in a nana universe. It is not supposed to be the way you want. It is supposed to be the way it is, at least at this moment. Now, we'll talk in a moment about what you can do about it. I didn't say you couldn't do anything about it. I didn't say you're not supposed to interact with it. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. Surrender means under all circumstances that you come in harmony with reality instead of trying to make reality come in harmony with you. Why would reality come in harmony with you? You came in with a bunch of friends. Not one of them agrees with you as to what should happen next. You understand that? Everybody has made up their own idea, their own notion. So now you're getting it. Good. I mean, surrender is a pretty powerful word, isn't it, when you use it properly? It means, okay, I quit. I accept reality. I'll stop fighting with reality because reality seems to always win. And so you realize you are doing this to yourself by making these things up. It's just going to take a moment. But now that we got clear with this, let's take a moment and say, how did you make it up anyways? How did you make up what you thought the ocean should do? How did you make up what the weather should be tomorrow? How did you make up how he should treat you? How did you make up who should say hello and who shouldn't? Who should come close and how close they should stand next to you in the elevator when it's crowded, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Where'd you make it up? Where'd you get that idea? Okay, because everyone's is different, isn't it? Everyone's idea was supposed to go on is different. You got it because of your past experiences. Period. They're learned. They're learned. You had an experience in an elevator where when you were young, somebody came and stood next to you and they smelled and they smoked a lot and you were choking. People shouldn't stand so close. And you got this sense of space that you're supposed to have, okay? Somebody else, when they were young, this really beautiful or handsome woman or man stood next to them and, oh my God, it was so beautiful. People should stand really, really close. You learned these things. You had past experiences, and they either made you feel good or they made you feel bad. And if they made you feel good, you want them to happen again. That's how you came up with what you like. And if they made you feel bad, you don't want them to happen again. If they made you feel really bad, they better not happen again or you'll die. And somebody else had the same experience but did real well with it. It turned out well, and they have a totally different feeling about it than you do. Therefore, it's meaningless. They are just the arbitrary moments that happen to pass in front of you, left impressions inside of you, and now you are basing the entire make-believe you're doing inside your head based on those impressions, and those impressions have nothing to do with what's happening in front of you. All your impressions happen in California, now you move to Florida. Florida doesn't know about your impressions. You met somebody new. You had a bad relationship. You're divorced. Now you're dating again. You met somebody new. That person doesn't know anything about what you went through in your divorce. But every single thing that person does, you're going to compare against what your ex-husband did. He used to eat like that. I don't know how to do it. Slurp. Oh, man, I'm done with the slurping. Done with the slurping. That is how absurd it is. So what surrender is asking you to do is surrender the absurdity of thinking that your past impressions, we call them in yoga, we call them some scars, these impressions that got left upon you, have any meaning. They have no meaning. And now you bring them into the current moment, and you believe that the current moment should match your past impressions. What's the probability it's going to do it? None. And now you can only be okay the rare moments that match. And they're very rare. Do you understand that? Very rare. I hear people like to think of themselves as positive. So if I say that, I get a lot of pushback. I can see it right now. I'm a happy person. Are you really? Let's stop for a moment. Have you ever really, really felt overwhelming ecstasy? Have you ever felt, intimacy or hold your first child or, won at something that you didn't think you'd be able to win at, where just absolute freedom and this rush of energy just was welling up inside of you. And it was like Maslow called it a peak experience, didn't he? Those of you who study psychology, right? He labeled it the peak experience as the highest one. Well, actually, he went later, had self-actualization. But he had a peak experience, all right? What is a peak experience? That's high stuff. It's sort of, here's how I define a peak experience. If you had your choice, that would be going on for the rest of your life and you couldn't care about anything else. That's how high it is. Like, it doesn't get any better than this. It's pretty high, isn't it? Just, Master called it, you're going to call it ever new joy. just ever new waves of joy, of uplifting ecstasy, that moment in intimacy at the highest where your mind just shuts up. You understand that? Or you see a sunset and it's so beautiful, it blows you away. You say, it blew my mind. In other words, that whole mishigash you're doing in there went away, of what I like and what I don't like and what I'm scared of. And you just came into the moment. In sports, they call it being in the zone. You're just there. It's all one. You're just, whoa, rare moment there. That's what I mean by high, doing well. What percentage of the breaths you have taken during your entire life was breathed while you were experiencing a state like that? Good. Blush. Right? Because the number's really small, isn't it? Like 0.000000001%. I'm telling you, I've just explained to you why. It is not that you're not capable of experiencing states like that all the time. It's that the only time you let yourself experience the state is when the moment outside of you matches what you made up. Oh, look, I'm holding my child. Do they have 10 fingers, 10 toes? Is everything exactly the way I want? Was it a boy? Was it a girl? Which is it? Oh, boy, man, you got to pass a lot of tests before you get to be happy, don't you? That's called conditional well-being. You set conditions that said, unless it's the way I want, I don't get to be happy. No wonder you're not happy, because it's not going to be the way you want. Relationships, same thing. A lot of you guys are young. Why do people have so much trouble with relationships? You're not having a relationship with another person. You're having a relationship with yourself. There are things that you're not okay with, and you're expecting the other person to make those be okay. There are ways you want to be treated at certain times, not all the time, because it changes all the time depending on your moods, and you expect this other person to harmonize so that all the time you're with this other person, you're feeling good, you're feeling whole, you're feeling love, you're feeling wonderful, you're open. What is the probability that's going to happen? How about zero? I'm not like against love. I'm not an anti-romanticist or something. But the probability that that other person is going to always match what you are making up inside your head based on your past experiences is zero. At first it seems like it because you have hope. You're open. It's a new relationship. Oh, look, I went on 2 dates and it really was unbelievable. I had so much fun. This could be my soulmate. What do you mean by soulmate? That every single thing they do will match exactly what I need. And the moment they disappoint you, the moment they do not act in a way that makes you feel loved, that makes you feel open, your mind immediately says, well, maybe they're not my soulmate. Maybe I rushed into this. And once it starts to get a little bit more negative and you start wondering if it's the right person, and your mind starts saying, well, yeah, and I don't like how he slurps and he leaves the toilet seat up, and my mother told me about that, and her first husband did that. I don't want to get into that kind of stuff, right? And all this stuff starts going on inside your head, and all of a sudden you see the person and you start getting down instead of up. Now it's over. What you're doing is expecting, I already said, as you go through the world, you're expecting the world to be the way you want. It won't be. But you can bet yourself that that person's not going to be the way you want. The person's just as complicated as you are. Take all the experience you've ever had that made your mind think the way it does. That's a lot of experience, isn't it? That other person had none of those experiences. They had their own. Now take those two things and put them together. The net result is, what is the probability that everything's going to be the way both people want it to be? None. Nothing. Does that mean you shouldn't have relationships? Of course it doesn't mean that. Now let's start talking about, if you catch on, I've been silly. I've been in here wanting the moments to be the way I want and then getting upset when they're not that way, wanting people to be the way I want and then getting disappointed when they're not that way. And then basically, it's not any fun anymore. It's pretty disappointing. It's pretty depressing. Of course it is. All right, what's the alternative way to live? Already said, come into the moment with a clear mind. Buddhists call it empty mind. Now you can understand all of it now, all the Eastern teachings, right? What is empty mind? You're stupid? No, empty mind means you didn't fill your mind with this garbage of what you made up things should be, all right? You came into the moment open, receptive, excited. So you come into the moment feeling, look what got created. Look, there's colors in front of me. Wow, there's shapes. And somebody's talking, and I hear them, and I actually understand what they're saying. That's really weird. Okay, or I don't understand. They're speaking Chinese or French. And that's neat too, all right? And you're just basically having fun experiencing the moment that's unfolding in front of you. Which moment? All of them, any of them? Oh, that's how I want you to be. I love you. I want you to be like that. I would love to know when you come to me and say, Mickey, it's unbelievable. I used to have so many problems. Now I enjoy every single moment unfolding in front of me. It's so exciting. I get up in the morning, instead of being afraid that something will go wrong or what did I do wrong before and anxious about that, I wake up and say, I wonder what will happen today. It's going to be fun. And you just, every single thing you're doing, you're present, you're there, you're in the zone, you're experiencing it fully, it's feeding you, you're feeding it. Who said you can't live like that? All you have to do is stop making up what it's going to be like in your mind and experience the way it is and let it touch you. Rich. When you brush your teeth, it tickles. The toothpaste, right? It tingles. Feel it. Experience it. I don't care how many times you brush your teeth. It's fun. It's an exciting, especially if you have an electric toothbrush. There's all kinds of fun things, all right? And not to mention, what in the world is an electric toothbrush? And how did it come out of the quantum field? That's what I want to know, all right? Oh, my quarks and leptons and boson, did they make the electric toothbrush? They made everything. Do you understand that? Nothing exists except it's coming out of that quantum field, right or wrong. Wow, we made an electric toothbrush. Far out. All right? And so you're all excited about the right to interact with the reality that's unfolding in front of you. You do not have conditions. It's an unconditional sense of joy, of excitement, of enthusiasm. Now we come to the part I said, well, what about what I do with it? Is it, do I have to leave war? Some of you guys are activists. Am I saying, no, you should just give up? No. There's going to be a moment that unfolds in front of you. We already said that. And guess what? There's only going to be one moment that unfolds in front of you. Then the next one comes, and the next one comes. But at a given moment, there's only one. There's nothing you can do ever for the rest of your life except interact with the moments unfolding in front of you, right? Because the rest are not unfolding in front of you. There's nothing you can do about them. So what you do is you focus on, can I give my best, everything I am, my love, my enthusiasm, my idealism, whatever it is. I'm not telling you how to be. I'm just telling you how to be, all right? That you're in the moment. Here it is. Can I give myself to it and raise it? The highest life you can live is that every single moment that happens to unfold in front of you is better off because it did. No one will ever define for me a higher life. If every moment is better off because it came in front of you instead of somebody else, you raised it. You did whatever you could do. That's St. Francis's prayer. Make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there's sickness, let me bring health. Where there's sadness, let me bring joy. Where there's sorrow, loneliness, let me bring love. You just basically, whatever is presenting itself in front of me has the right to exist because of all the force that caused it to be. But now I get to be a cause, don't I? All right? I get to be an influence on where it's going next because it's going to pass through time and space. What we're doing now, listen to me, don't get embarrassed. What we're doing now is when the moment unfolds in front of us, we're not asking, how can I raise it? We're asking, how can I make it be what I want so that I'm okay? You're trying to make them be what will make you be okay. You're trying to make them match what you made up. Otherwise, you're feeling hurt or disappointed. And making sure they're not what you don't want and trying to make them be what you do want. Fair enough? All right, so everyone's doing. That's why everyone's at war with each other and with life, right? Because we all have different ideas how we want it to be. All right? Instead, you come into the moment and don't ask, what can you do for me? You literally ask the moment in front of you, how can I help? What can I do for you? How can I give of myself to raise the moment? Whatever it is, doesn't have to be big. It's sometimes tiny little things make a big difference. A child's lost and you stop for a moment and help him find his parent or whatever it is, Any little thing that happens, right? Whatever you can do. I'm not telling you what it is. You'll see what it is. But it's not about what can I get. It's not about taking. It's about coming into the moment and giving, sharing of yourself. But you can't be that way while you're upset. So you stop that. That's what meditation is about. That's what all the spiritual path is about, is not hanging out with your mind that's making up how things should be. We can talk about that in 1 second, how to deal with that. But at least your commitment is, I'm not going to devote my life to what my mind is making up based on my past experiences. I'm going to devote my life to the reality that's unfolding in front of me. That's a whole nother life. All right? So now you come present into that life and you serve the moment in front of you. I am telling you, if you will serve the moment that is unfolding in front of you, it will go on better, and the next moment will come, it will be raised, and you will become this beautiful, beam of light that is raising the universe around you. And you won't think you're doing anything. But the next thing you'll know, somebody will come to you a year later and say, remember the time I walked up to you and mentioned to you that I was in trouble? God, what you said to me changed my life. It was just such a small thing, but it was exactly what I needed to hear. Well, how would you know what to say, exactly what they needed to hear? You didn't even know what you said. Because instead of being in harmony with you and what you want and what you don't want and what, all that junk, you're open enough that you're in harmony with them. See the difference? Right? Your being, your consciousness is paying attention to what's in front of you. And all of a sudden, everything changes. And then the next thing you know, it's reaching beyond you. You know, things, just by following the moments that are unfolding and giving yourself to them, the next thing you know, you're influencing all kinds of stuff. It's just the most amazing thing in the world. And so you let go. And more you realize if you will come into the moment open and receptive with the idea that the purpose of my life is to become filled with joy and to express that and share it with the moment that's unfolding in front of me, you're a great being. That's a very, very great being. So in order to do that, there are certain things you will have to work on yourself, right? You will have to learn how to not pay attention to your monkey mind that keeps telling you how things should be, because it doesn't know anything. How do you do that? Real quick, I'll do a real quick crash course. You don't have to take notes. Here it goes. The reason your mind is telling you how things need to be is because you had these past experiences, right? And you formulated these concepts and ideas about how things should be. I would highly advise letting them go. Letting them go. All the stuff you're storing in there about what you liked and didn't like about the past. It's just, nothing is garbage. The past is over, isn't it? Past is over. What are you doing living in the past? That's the silliest thing in the world to do, right? You learned from it. It happened. You learned what you need to learn. You don't want to keep that inside your head and try to make it happen again. You want to experience the reality that's unfolding. So we used to call it gestalt, letting something be finished. The event took place. Yes, I was in love, and he moved. I was 12, and it broke my heart. And I learned. I learned about a broken heart. I learned about love. I learned about things. I was young, so I didn't handle it well. But now I'm older. I'm 10 years older. What am I doing still caring about what happened when I was 12? How dare you let what happened to you when you were 3 influence what you're saying or doing right now? It should insult you. That would be so silly. Mommy took the blankie away before I was ready. And no, I can't get along with anybody, right? Well, I'm not going to feel sorry for you. I'll feel sorry for you because you screwed yourself up. Well, Mommy shouldn't take the blanket. But that happened 23 years ago. Mommy's dead. The blankie's long gone. Why is that still inside of you? And so this is real spirituality, is this purification of letting go of yourself. Letting go of this garbage you collected inside yourself. And I'm telling you, if you do, then all of a sudden it will be natural to come into the moment without the noise. And you know what I mean by the noise. The noisy one, right? And you'll just start to become more and more excited and enthused about the moments that are unfolding in front of you. And then you go to bed at night and you giggle, and you wake up in the morning and you giggle. And that's how you're supposed to live. It's just a beautiful thing. And if things are challenging, they're fun. Challenging is good. It's like a sport. You don't want to play sport against somebody you can beat every time, do you? That's no fun. Okay? You want to be challenged. Well, life challenges you, doesn't it? Makes you do your best. It brings you up. So enjoy it. Don't get scared about it. All of a sudden, the fear will go away. The anxiety will go away. The self-consciousness will go away. And what will be left is you, the clarity of being, throwing yourself, oh boy, seize the day, throwing yourself into the moment that's in front of you, fully, wholly, giving your whole self to it. And then the next moment, you'll enjoy. You start to get filled with love and joy and excitement and enthusiasm for absolutely no reason, just for the fun, just because it's fun. That's surrender. So surrender is not boring. Surrender is not dull. Surrender is not giving up. Surrender is letting go of ignorance. The bottom line, surrender is letting go of the stupid game of making up that what is unfolding in front of me is supposed to be what I made up. Because it's not supposed to. I hope I've convinced you. I give you lots of evidence. All right? And when you let that go, wait till you see what happens. All this joy and well-being wells up inside of you and interfaces and interacts with the reality that's unfolding. And eventually, the great master said, they become one. What? That's what Patanjali's Yoga Sutra says. That the seer and the seen merge. That the consciousness and the object of consciousness become one. Because there's nothing in the way. There's not all this noise in the way. And all of a sudden, Music does that, right? If you play an instrument, you can merge into the music. You're not playing it anymore, right? You're not even there. You just, whoa, you're gone into it. That should be that way with every moment of your life. All right? You do that in love and intimacies. I hope you lose yourself. It melts. It's gone. You're not there. You don't have to think about anything, right? Processional moments, aren't they? Every single moment should be like that. Every moment of your life, you should be merging the totality of your being into the beauty of the expression of life that's unfolding in front of you. All right. So that's yoga. That's surrender. Jai Gurudev.